for our lecture last week. Okay, so we will be discussing on chapter 3 today. So can we start?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, thanks. So this is chapter 3, users. We will be discussing on users, focusing on physical capabilities. Okay, physical capabilities. So now let's look at the first slide we have. Okay, so to design something for someone, okay, so in this case, we're talking about UI design, user interface design. To design something for anyone, for someone, we need to first understand the capabilities, okay, capabilities, and also the limitations of that person, right? So from the picture here, as you can see, we have a baby, adult, and elderly. Okay, so let's take an example of when we want to design something for the baby, for example. Okay, for the baby. So we know kids or baby are not capable to like control the screen. So you need to like how do we design the application or any application that you decided to create or design for the baby, you create according to what the baby can do, the capability. Okay, so there is limitation of this baby. So the baby doesn't know how to control interface. So maybe you just have one play button, for example. So usually baby you want to give them like maybe a video player, for example. So you have just one button because baby will not be able to like they are not capable to make the choices if you have many buttons presented on the screen. Okay, so that's for baby and adult as well. So a UI design for an adult should be different from what we design, something that we design for elderly, right? So maybe for the adult, you can give like normal font size, right? Normal font size and normal colors, normal application functions. But for elderly, maybe you need to match with their capabilities. You need to take into consideration their limitation. Maybe they need bigger font, bright colors, maybe, and you put contrast, like the background is black, the font is white, okay, for example. So we need to really understand the human capabilities and limitation, especially for the user that will be using our application, our design, right? So we will be discussing on users' physical capabilities. So the user that we are talking about here is referring to human, us. Okay, so whom computer systems are designed to assist. So computer systems are designed to assist human in their daily life, right? So we need, in order for us to match with the human capabilities, we need to know their characteristics. Okay, so that's why for your persona, you need to understand your persona's capabilities and what are their limitations, like maybe in terms of timing, in terms of their favorite color, for example, right? So you can you try to like discuss on the characteristic or the capabilities of your persona for your own user design, for your design for the assignment. So humans, we, us, we are limited in our capacity to process information. So every person will have different capacity to process information, and not all people, all human, nobody is perfect. So everyone will have their own limitation. So this will be an important implication for our design. So that's why you need to really understand the user characteristic, the capabilities of your end user in that, so that you know how to design or how to suit your design, your application system for your end user. So today we'll be discussing on these various channels of how information is received and the responses given to humans. So these are types of input and output channels. Okay, so we have visual channel. A visual channel will be what we see, right? We will be looking at what we see, how do we see, how do we perceive things in front of us. In this case is the computer system. And then we will discuss on auditory channel. Auditory channel referring to our ears, and then haptic channel, haptic the sensor, and then also the last one we will be discussing on movement. Okay, movement, and we will also discuss one about a law, Fitts law. We will also discuss that today in this chapter. Okay. Okay. So next, first we look at visual channel, which is the vision. Okay, our vision. So we need we need to understand about human's vision. Okay, so what is vision? It is a mechanism for receiving light and transform them into electrical energy. So light, it reflects from objects, so that's why we can see things. So images that we see are focused upside down on retina. So here is a visual on how human eyes look like, the section in human eyes. So we have here the object is a candle and the light, okay, candle with a light. And we have these eyes looking at it. So usually the light will be focused on at the center of our eyes. So we have the retina, the iris, here, lens, our lens, the cornea, the outer part of our eyes, and so on. Okay, so this is just to show you that we light usually will be the one that we see when we want to perceive things in front of us using our eyes. Okay, so further detail into the visual that we have using our eyes. So here we have rods and cones. So usually cones in our eyes, it's the one that is concentrated at the front of the retina, in the center, and the rods at our sides. Okay, so this means that color detection is good. Okay, color detection is the center here, the cones. It is good when images are placed in front of the eye. Okay, in front of the eye. So our cones here, it's sensitive to color. Okay, sensitive to color. On the other hand, our eye is not sensitive to color at the periphery. So periphery here is at the rod spot here, rods. So the periphery part here, we call it, it's not sensitive to color, so it's a little bit blurry on this part. So we will not process color at this part. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of experiment later in this lecture. And this periphery vision, however, it's a motion sensitive. Motion sensitive, so means the outer side of our cones, it's motion sensitive, but it's detail and color insensitive. So it's not sensitive to detail and color to our design. So we need to understand this so that you know what to put in your interface of your design. So you know, like our eyes is always at the center. The when you choose colors as well, when you choose colors, so that also this also the understanding of this how people or how human perceive things using eyes will help you to choose what color to use in your UI design. Okay, so let's talk about more about peripheral vision. So this is an example of peripheral vision, the outer side here. So the center is the direct vision, which is the cons cons vision. Okay, so here the peripheral is outside. It's a little bit blur. So from here also you can see these are the peripheral field of view at this side. Okay, the direct vision is three degree, or it can be 2 degrees. Okay, so our peripheral vision is far better at perceiving movement, uh, motion, because we need the ability to identify potential risk quickly. So that's how our eyes work. It depends to the peripheral vision for a motion, for a movement or motion. It's very fast in um, detecting movement. Okay, so like for example, like when you play games, right? So you're focusing on your, of course, your characters in the game, right? On the screen, like usually at the center of the screen. So how when do these peripheral vision take place when you play games? So maybe like a chat, for example, like chat. I'm not sure how your gaming interface look like. What I would imagine it like you have a chat bar. Do you have a chat bar in gaming? In your gaming chat, apa namanya? Chat bar lah kan, chat bar, chat bar.
Chat bar or chat box?
Oh yeah, chat box. So usually you can pick, you can like choose to view it or close it. Is it?
Ah, yes, can.
So like let's say just example maybe it doesn't work like that, this way, but typically it works this way. So when there is a new chat coming in, right? So if you set it to be like to give you notification, so it can be sound, later we will discuss about audio. It can be sound, or in this case for peripheral vision, it can be like apa sudah, a motion like pop up, right? So your eyes is currently at the front looking at the games, like you're focusing on like attacking your enemy, for example. So the chat box, like your friend want to like give you like say something, they don't want to use voice, for example. So they chat something and then there's like a pop up down there. Okay, like pop up, so it's like a motion like from at the side, like your focus is here, right? So it pop up at the side, so your peripheral vision actually will see the motion. Okay, so it will see the motion like there's a pop up, so means it grab your attention that there's something at the corner side at the chat bar, or apa tu tadi chat bar or the chat, the chat bar, your focus will be there, right? Your attention will shift from your gaming to the chat bar because of the pop-up. So the pop-up is a type of motion or movement that happen in the interface, right? So that is an example of how this peripheral vision function. So let's say if you don't set anything for your chat box, like you don't want kote mo peduli apa yang orang tuliskan, like I don't care, I just want to play my game. So you can ignore the pop-up, but like if let's say like your friend want you to like give attention to what they want to say, they will keep giving you messages, so you keep giving pop-up. So there is what happens when distraction happens. There will be a distraction there. So the animating of, in the case that I give example just now, like the pop-up of a new chat, it keep uh, coming in out, right? So it is very distracting. So this also you need to take into consideration when you want to design your system. Okay, so that's for peripheral vision. Another example of this peripheral vision is that when you are doing when you're doing work, schoolwork, like doing assignment and all, kan? So let's say you also open your email tab. Okay, so let's assume that you did not set anything for to notify you that there's a new email coming in, right? So it will all, for example, like you already check everything, right? So your mailbox is zero, everything has been read. So you already read everything. So if you don't set anything like motion or notification when there is a new email, usually your inbox will change to one, right? If there's a one new email. So if you don't look at it, you will not know there is a new email because you are at another tab, maybe writing your assignment, you are maybe you are playing games, maybe, so you will not know that there is a new email that you need to take to give attention. So that's why we have this setting to allow notification like desktop notification, right? Mail notification, you can allow it at your desktop notification. Of course, this can be distracting, but depending on what you use your device for the most. Okay, so maybe because all of you like play game, right? I know if play games you don't want to be disturbed, so maybe all this notification you will disable, right? You don't want to be distracted when you play your games or maybe when you watch your anime or anything. All right, so that's an example of how this peripheral vision works. So here we have a video here. I don't know. You can watch this on your own when you do revision. So this one can be you can play and watch on your own. It's just some games. You can try it. Okay.
Okay.
Terkejut saya. Okay, terkejut sendiri. Okay, so is it true that seeing is believing? What you see is what you believe. What do you think? What you see is what seeing is believing. What you see is what you believe.
Uh,
Do you agree with this?
I think
Not
it
not
depends,
really.
maybe.
Depends to the situation lah kan.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not really sure why is this here. Some quote sudah kan. Okay. So what we see. So maybe it's just want to tell you like what you see is not always what you see, right? So what you see is not always what other people see. Like this woman here is pretty in my eyes. Maybe in your eyes she's not pretty. Something like that lah. Okay. So there is one like experiment here. Okay, so what I want you to do is, okay, so try, it's moving, right? So you look at the screen, my screen. So this is a motion induced blindness. So what I want you to do, there are three dots here, three yellow dots. What I want you to do, I hope you really do, pick one of this yellow dot. Pick one, not this one. Any whichever dot, the yellow dot. So you look at it for 5 to 10 seconds. Okay, start now. You pick one. Just stare at it. Jangan tengok tempat lain lah. It will not work if you look at other place. So if you notice when you look at only one dot, the others is disappearing. The others are disappearing. When you focus on one yellow dot, the others are disappearing. Does that happen to you?
Yes.
Kan? So this is a motion-induced blindness, means just to tell you that our brain or our vision is not perfect. So it's not always what we see here. We have three dots, right? But when you give a focus on one dot here, example this one, so you will your vision or your brain will only process this one. It will not process the rest. Okay, so that's why focus is very important. Panik mo ni. I put next. Okay, so you can try that again. You can try this again and see that's how our vision works. Okay, so when you focus on one thing, your brain perceives to it want to like process what you are seeing that time. So the other dots is disappearing. The other two are disappearing, right? So it's the same when you look at if you pick another one, you focus on that, it's the same. The other two will also disappear. Okay, so these are example of color illusions. So this one also you can play. You can watch on your own later on. So we will continue on our discussion. So this is a color illusion. Okay. So we also need to take into consideration for those people who are colorblind. Are you colorblind? Ada yang colorblind kah in this class? Okay, so
I think no.
okay, I thought you're colorblind, Vera. Okay, so we have a small percentage of people that are colorblind. So according to this researcher here, 1998, typically 8% of male are colorblind and 1% of female is colorblind. So this one is like lama sudah lah, maybe the percentage already changed, right? So most common color blindness is red to green. Okay, usually for those with color blind, right? They cannot drive. They can drive, but how they look at the colors, right? They hafal the position. They look at the position of the lights. Apa so di atas red, green, and yellow. Red, yellow, green, right? So we have red, yellow, green on the traffic light. So usually color blindness, usually is some people they cannot recognize red and green. Some people they cannot recognize any color at all. Like their world is grayscale. There is people with this vision. Okay, so you imagine like they wake up and everything is grayscale. Everything is grayscale because if it's daytime, because got light, right? So the light will make their vision look grayscale. Nighttime, of course, where everything is dark. Okay, if they have like a light, then they can see grayscale. There are people with this no color vision at all. So that's why builders of interfaces like us, you want to design your UI, you also need to take this fact into account. But of course, you also focus on your persona, because it's only prototype, right? So just to let you know that if you are really designing something for everybody to use, you need to like take into consideration about this color blind as well. So maybe because of this color blindness mostly is red and green, so maybe you reduce the use of red, green. Yeah, so maybe you can use font to differentiate things on your interface, maybe. Okay, so you need to take this into consideration as well, the color blind. Okay, so now another example of visual processing. So how do you interpret signal with visual processing? So here we use context to resolve ambiguity that we have in our vision. So now I want to ask you, what do you see here? What do you see here? Is it 13 or B?
I see 13.
Noel?
Both.
Both. Kelvin, what do you see? Both. Okay. So here, because you don't have context at the moment, so you can see both, or you can pick, because I say B or 13, right? So if I don't give you choices, maybe you also don't know what is this. Okay. At first I look at this also, what is this thing? I also don't know what is this. So it's either B or 13. So what is context? Okay, so let's look at the next slide. So context is when we want to resolve what we see in front of us, right? So if it's presented to you like this, right? A, B, C. Of course, you will see this as B, correct? You will see this as B. So if you look at these the other context here, numbers, okay, when you are given the character just now with numbers beside it, so we have 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. Okay, so these are a context. So it depends on the context on how you represent your character in your design, right? So let's say like for logo, for example, like logo, maybe you want to like have a characteristic of a logo. You want to have your own game, for example, right? You create your own game, your interface for your game. So it depends on, of course, you will design your logo based on your context, which is your game. It's for gaming. Okay, so usually for gaming, usually you will use something like this, like very sharp edge, and so you will not use like the one that is used for like clothing brand. It's not the same like what we have, what logo we have for gaming. Okay, so it's the context that give you the differentiate. It's the context that help you to choose how to perceive what you see in front of you. Okay, so like this one time just now, so you don't know what is this, right? You can see 13, you can see B. So when you have context here, letters, of course you see this as B. And then if you see another context, which is numbers, you perceive this with your eyes, with your vision as 13, right? 1, 3, okay, 1, 3, sorry. We have 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. So we use context to help our user to understand what we want to present to them on our UI design. So next, still with vision. So let's talk about size and depth. Okay, size and depth. So familiar objects perceived as constant size. Okay, constant size. Like for example, here we have this human A and B, human A and B. So when I'm in, like for now, like you see me, right? The size, my size is fixed. I'm short and I'm petite. I'm very small. Okay. But when you see me in front of, like now in this live session, right? So you see me like, maybe you imagine me like normal tall girl that you always see outside. So or maybe you expect me to be like someone who is tall, right? But of course, when you see me face to face, I'm very small. I'm very small, and then let's say like I move like this person is me. So when I move far away, like I go like, you see me at the lobby at our campus. You see me at the lobby, then you see me walking, going to my car, to at the car park. So you see me like become smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So that is what, that is our vision perception of our eyes. But of course, my size is always constant. My size is fixed. I'm always small, but when I go far away from your vision, you saw me like become very small, 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 right? Until I like too far away from you, far away from your vision, um, I will look very small. Okay, so these are also effect on your visual angle. Okay, the angle of your positioning. And then another thing is like overlapping perception of size and depth. Like for this one, see here, it's overlap view. So when you click on these three dots here, you can get another option. So the size and depth should be like smaller than what you have at the back, so that you can have like more focus on what you are seeing at the moment. So you click on this. So let's say, for example, like you make your design like similar size with the back, right? So maybe it doesn't give you like more attention on what you have clicked previously. Okay, so if you like give more small size and small depth than what you have at the back, you will see this as a overlapping design. That means you are giving attention to the top window that you see here. Okay, so that's about size and depth. So our perception of our eyes, it relies on the factors. It can be the angle, it can be the position, or the distance from our eyes. Okay, so let's look at another example here. We have optical illusion. Okay, so they can be optical illusion, like when you're driving also, you can have this blind spot. Okay, if you have ever heard of blind spot, so that's optical illusion. So it sometimes occur to us due to overcompensation. Okay, so if you see here, this is a ponzo illusion. If you see like this, right? So the stairs become small, right? So you can see like this one is bigger. The top here is bigger than the bottom one. But actually it's the same. It's the same size. If you like take pembaris and you like ukur, right? So it's the same size. Both of this is the same size. So it's illusion. Illusion of what you have at the back here. Similar to this one, it's multilayer illusion. So when you use this arrow at the top here, it look like this one is much longer than the bottom one. Okay, so it's the illusion actually. So both of these actually have a same length. So similar to this one, it's the same size as this one, but because of what you put together with your object, it looks different. Okay, similar to this one as well. It's actually the same size, these two, same length. Okay, so because of this one, it it gives you a optical illusion in your eyes, seeing that what these two has a different length. This one. Okay, so it can occur to us at times. And then for animations, like 2D animation, 3D animation, especially Disney movies lah. Yeah, Disney movies. Hold on lah, give me a second. I need to reply a message. Sorry, give me a sec. Okay, sorry. So for animation, like this one, right? So you can see this is animators or those producers of these movies. They create, or they don't like don't like do it like suka-suka, like the lighting here, the background. Okay, so all these, they have decided to use this kind of image very precisely, like they really look into details on how their audience will look at this picture, at the movie. So if you see here, like when you look at this picture up here, you will see like your focus goes to this man's face, right? So here they actually apply composition and contrast to their animation. Okay, so they play with composition, like they make the background like a little bit dark, and they put contrast here. Then they make this one like, so that when you look at it, when you look at the movie, when you watch the movie, you know which one to focus on. Okay, so similar to this one also, when you look at this, this bird is like our peripheral vision. So we focus on these two, this character here. Okay, so animations are created, the movies, the animation movies especially. The animators, they design the storyboard like very precisely and taking into consideration on how the lighting will look like, how the contrast will look like, and how the composition will be done for the animation. Okay, so it's not easy to create an animation movie. You need to take into consideration all the colors as well. Okay. All right. So reading, when we read, okay, so when we use our vision to read information on our screen, when we use eyes to read, there are several stages happen. So there will be a visual pattern which are the text that we see using our vision, and the visual pattern that we perceive is decoded using internal representation of language. Okay, decoded in internal representation of language, what language you are reading, and then it's also interpreted using knowledge of syntax. You operate on phrases or sentences. So depending on our brain, okay, different people will have different capabilities. So some words it can be recognized as quickly as a single character, and familiar words are recognized using word shape. Okay, so we'll look at the word shape after this. We'll talk about shape after this. So when you look at this, right? So maybe you have seen like reading tests, like reading quiz or test at Facebook ada banyak always always come out in my newsfeed. Like if you can read this, you are like right minded, left minded, something like that. So it is actually how our vision perceive the text and how fast our brain can process the text. Okay, so this one maybe because this sentence is familiar to you, so you can read it quickly. The quick brown fox jump over the lazy dog. Okay, so you can, depending, of course, like I mentioned earlier, depending on our brain, on how it works. Sometimes you can be slow, you can be fast, or maybe previously you have seen that phrase, even though it's jumbled up like this, you know this is quick, you read it as quick, you read this as brown, you read this as jump, and so on. So it's how our vision send the signal to our brain, and it's how fast our brain can process what we are seeing. Okay, and then next, removing the word shape clue. So this one is actually just to tell you that like every, like capital letter and small letter, it does give different perception towards the viewer. Okay, so text in all caps reduces the shape contrast for each word. Like here, the example of a word shape, all caps, it reduce the shape contrast for each word. So another example is that when you like put in your design, if you decided like you want to like emphasize some words, you maybe you want to use all capital letter. Okay, so that the user can focus on it, like give attention to it. Okay, so similar to like when you type chat, like you reply chat to people, right? You accidentally like put all caps lock, all capital letter. It seems like you are angry, right? So that's that is how the other people like perceive what you are trying to say. Like they are asking you question and they reply in all capital letter. So your brain processes it like, oh, this person is angry. So uh, that's how capital letter and small letter can actually affect your brain. Okay, so if you're using like, oh, sorry, yeah, I need to go to my door. Someone is waiting for something. Give me a sec. 2 minutes. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so continue, yeah? Is everybody here? Are
Yes.
you all okay?
Hi.
Okay. Okay, so we continue on this slide. So this one, it also by capitalizing or small apa tuh, small letters, it also affect your reading speed and accuracy as well. Okay, so let's say like it's big, it's all capital letter, right? Like all capital letter, you might like you want to read it like it's like natural that you want to read it louder. Okay, like shape, shape, shape. And then when you reach this small letter here, maybe your tone can like shape, like you follow what you see in front of you. So your speed and your also your voice, your the volume of your voice also affect what you see in front of you. Okay, so let's say like maybe you want to design like something aesthetic. Okay, so this might apply to me but might not apply to you. Okay, so when you want to have like an aesthetic design, you maybe want to use all small letter, for example. But if like you want to have a design like very straightforward, very rigid, and you want it to be straightforward, maybe you want to use all capital letter. But of course, for your assignment, you always go back to your persona and see how the characteristic of your persona can like fit to your prototype that you are designing. Okay, so this ends our discussion for vision. So before we proceed to our discussion for hearing or auditory, we take 5. Okay.
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 Hello. Can you continue?
Can.
Okay. All right. So we continue to the next part, which is the auditory channel, our hearing. Okay, so we'll discuss on how hearing will affect our design, right? So first we need to know about how what is human capability with this hearing. So humans usually can hear frequencies from 20 hertz to 15 kilohertz. So this is the general frequency that we can hear. So our hearing have the ability to detect the lower and also upper frequency range that ranges and it deteriorates with age. Okay, so as we get old, our hearing will also deteriorate. It will like weaken, and it also affected by health. Okay, so it also affected by your environment. Like if you are working at a factory with loud noises, so that one also can be can affect your hearing. Okay, so depending on our age, depending on our health, that will actually affect our hearing system. So when you want to design your system, if you decided to include a voice or an audio in your system, you need to look at your persona, look at your end user, what age they are, and how is their hearing system, how good it is if you decided to include audio in your system. Okay, but very usually for voice for audio, depending on the type of the system that you want to use. Okay, we will look at common usage of sound after this. So our auditory system, it filters sound around us, right? So like for example, like when you play games, of course you wear headset. Your headset usually for the good headset, the like expensive one, it can filter sounds from outside. Okay, so you can filter your background noise so that you can focus on your game. So some without the features, it's much cheaper, but of course the function or the features will it will like grab everything that you have around you. So if you like want to like what you want to immerse into the gaming, so usually gamers they will use like high-end headsets to play games. So another example would be like in a cocktail party phenomenon. So in a party, when you want to talk to someone, right? So if you like focus your hearing to the person that is talking to you, automatically our auditory system will filter sounds around us, right? So maybe it fade the sound around us so that you can hear each other. So of course, depending on your hearing system and also depending on how loud the other person is talking. Okay, so let's look at the common usage of sound. A common usage of sounds are usually when we want to locate things, right? For example, like um, you go to Surya Sabah, so usually you park at level 3 example lah. Then one day you go to Surya Sabah again, then you go to the parking level 3, but you cannot find any empty slot to park your car. So you go up the level, in the end you park at level 7 example. So you're not familiar with the situation. How do you locate your car after you finish shopping? So usually you will use your alarm, right? So you just like press your alarm or just press your key lock. Like if you did not disable the sound of your car lock, you will be able to locate your car. Okay, so that one can be example of how you look at things. Also, when you like during CNY, you misplace your handphone, like then you say, and you ask your siblings or your mom or your dad, try call dulu, miss call, I want to find my phone, right? So that is also an example of how you use sound so that you can locate your missing handphone, for example. Okay, so another common usage of sound is to provide feedback. So like when you're using ATM, for example, you want to withdraw some money from the ATM. So usually you will have sound like after you put in your after you like you press the amount that you want to withdraw, there will be a sound like sound of the machine like calculating your money, right? But first, your ATM card will be given back to you, so means that one also will have sound. Maybe some ATM machine don't have sound, some ATM machine have sound. So it gives you feedback so that you know what to do next. Guess what you need to do next. And then another common usage of sound is to attract attention. For example, like for your WhatsApp. Okay, WhatsApp. So you have WhatsApp group, you have individual like personal conversation with your friends, right? So usually you can set the notification sound of your WhatsApp group to be different than what you set for your personal conversation. So that you know when like if like you expecting, you are asking question, for example, you're asking question in the WhatsApp group and you are expecting answer. So when you hear the tone of your WhatsApp group at your phone, it will directly attract your attention to look at it, right? So similar to what washing machine, some washing machine you can disable the sound, but some machine you cannot disable the sound. Like if it's finished already, like it's giving you like a music like something like that. So it grab your attention that oh my kain already siap wash. Okay, something like that. So it grab your attention so that you know what to do next. Okay, so similar to like air conditioner. So when you on and when you off, usually the sound is different. So when you on, the sound is beep. Okay, it depends to the type of the aircon line that you have. So it's like if you off, the sound will be long beep beep, something like that. And then you want to like increase the temperature, so there will be sound. When you want to change the setting, other setting also got sound. So it will actually like it provide you with feedback. Means when you press on it, you hear a sound. That means you already do the necessary setting that you want to do. Okay. So for your design, you can use sound for feedback and or to attract attention. Okay, so usually for design, you use sound for feedback or attention when you have a short and simple information. Okay, short and simple information, like maybe like only like you want to say like okay, something like that, you want to say okay, but you instead you decided to use sound, maybe just give one ding, something like that. So ding means okay. So it depends on how you want to present your design, your information system. And for alert and warnings, when an immediate response is needed, so you want to attract attention. For example, like alarm, right? Alarm, you need to, when you enable the sound of alarm, it want to attract your attention to wake up, right? So you need your immediate response. So depending on what sound you want to use to wake you up. Okay, so sometimes at, there is one time I apply my alarm to be the sound like sound, I can't remember. Macam sound yang very calming. I try to set that in my alarm sound, and turn out that I continue to sleep because it's a calming sound. Okay, so the choice of sound also can impact the user. So if it's like, of course, for alarm sound, it's not suitable for you to use a calming sound. It will make you like sleep more, right? So depending on you. So maybe there are people or there are human like any sound also like calming or it's like extravaganza sound, they still can wake up with like very sensitive ears. So those are also limitation, okay? Limitation that some people is very sensitive, some people are not sensitive. So that's why you have your persona. So you use your persona to help you to design your system, okay? And also you use sound when the visual system is already overburdened, like the visual system, like you cannot use, the visual system is too much already, you cannot use it anymore to provide feedback or to give attention to the user, so you use this sound. And then the user is moving about from place to place. So let's say like the user that is using your system, they are moving from one place to another place. So you can use sound for feedback or for attention, and also for illumination makes vision unreliable. So uh, rather than providing input or output using vision that require the user to use vision, you use sound for the user to provide feedback and to give attention. But of course, with sound, it can be a source of annoyance and distraction. So earlier on, I give you an example of the chat bar in your gaming, right? So it's similar to that. So usually your pop-up also accompany with sound. So like ding, 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 like that kind. So it can be annoying and it can distract you as well. Okay, so that's why you need to look back to your user requirements or the user limitation. Of course, in your assignment, you always refer back to your persona. So how good is this person in handling sound if you decide to use sound in your system, and how good they are to handle a distraction when they use the system. Okay, so this is for sound. So next we have haptic. Okay, so so for haptic, okay, haptic touch. So I think if you're using iOS, you can allow haptic touch in your. You can allow or you can enable or disable your haptic touch on your phone. So previously, not only iOS, Android also the same, depending on what brand. So haptic touch here, it provides important feedback about the environment. So previously, before touchscreen was implemented, like was introduced to the society, we use handphone using keypad. Okay, so we don't have touch screen. Okay, I think your generation, you did not have the chance to use the previous version of mobile phone. During your time when you buy your mobile phone, you already used the one with touch screen. So previously it was keypad, okay, fully keypad. So it provide haptic touch, means you already touch. So for a touch screen, usually when you like type on it, like you tap on it, you don't know if you already send the information to the system or not. For keypad, like for previous phones, you definitely know when you already press the buttons, because it provides you with the haptic touch, like the feedback of like tuck tuck tuck, like that, like when you type on your keyboard lah, the feeling. Yeah, so this can be a key sense for someone who is visually impaired. So haptic touch is very helpful for those without, for those who is visually impaired, like those blind people cannot see. They depend on this haptic touch to go on with their daily life, like especially when they want to check time, especially when they want to communicate through WhatsApp and so on. So this also you need to take into consideration if your persona is visually impaired. Okay, so some areas are more sensitive than others. So it's referring to fingers. The keyboard design should give adequate tactile feedback to the user. So keyboard design as well, like I know there is a keyboard that's specifically for gamers. So you like the mechanical, do you call it mechanical keyboard? I'm not sure what do you call it. Is it mechanical keyboard ka? For gaming? If I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. Something like that. Okay, so like you like to have the feedback of like kata 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 kata. You like the sound of that kind when you type, when you even mouse as well. You have a gaming mouse gaming. You have a mouse specifically for gaming, like very mechanical one, very technical. Like you click also like very fast. Your apa nih, your cursor also move so fast. Okay, so you click also like very fast response. For those, it gives you comfort and it gives you satisfaction. Correct? So your mechanical keyboard gives you satisfaction when you play games, right? Betul ka, Farah?
Yes, but not for me lah.
Okay. So that's why every person, every human is different. So some people prefer like the mechanical keyboard. Some people might prefer yang silent, right? So again, you refer back to your persona when you design your system. You refer back to your persona. Do they prefer, like if you are creating game lah kan? So you know this person like mechanical, macam mechanical feedback like haptic touch. So depends on the haptic touch. So you need to take that into consideration. So every human is different. Okay. So when you type, maybe you don't want to have sound, or maybe some people want to have sound. Okay. So that's why you need to understand your user capabilities. Okay, so that's for haptic. So here we have an example here. So this is from 2013. So maybe nowadays it's improved already lah. So this one is a watch designed specifically for those with visually impaired, those young, we say like blind people. Okay, so they use, so you see here only the people with this visually impaired, only them will know how to use this. Okay, so they will know the time only by referring to this thing. Okay, so like for us, we have visions, right? So when you see like this can, you also don't know how to read this. Okay, so similar with like the keyboard. If you notice like your keyboard, your normal keyboard, you have under the F. If you check your keyboard now, either your external keyboard or your keyboard on your laptop or on your desktop, you can see, or under F, usually you have one bump. Do you have it? J, one bump on it.
Yes, have.
Ada kan? Also ada lagi. So those two actually it's there because it's also for those with visually impaired usually, so that they know the location of the pet. Also numpad number 5. Oh yeah, got ada number 5. Yes. Okay. So those the design on your keyboard, there's a reason for that. One wrong suka put in there the bump. So you can also try to, it can also like it is definitely to help the user. Okay, so if you are like a typist, if you're typist, those bumps is very important to them. for them to make their job faster, like they can type faster with the help of the bump. Okay, so depending on users, also, they might use it for other things as well. So some maybe use it for other things, some maybe use it for other things, right? So that's another example with the one that you have in front of you. Okay, so this is a clock for blind people to check the time. Okay, so that's for haptics, and then we have the last one, the movement. Okay, so movement. So we need to consider motor control and how the way we move affects our interaction with computers. Like me, if you notice with my videos, right, when I'm doing lecture like this, I keep like touching my hair, and then I keep like moving here and there. So that's how I am. Like I cannot like just sit and static there and talk. So I need to like move my head, look at my second screen, and like check my other screen, and I tend to like touch my hair if I have a bad hair day. Okay, so that's how I move. That's how that's why I present myself. Okay, so you also, I think, also the same. You have your own way of representing yourself. Your motor control also different. Maybe you are right-handed, maybe you are left-handed. So always refer back to your persona again. Okay, so the way we move it will affect our interaction with computers. So like me, I have two screen here, so my focus is at two screen. Okay, so the way I move my head also affects my interaction with computers. So when I hear someone is typing give me message or chat on the chat section at the Google Meet, then I also like move my finger fast and go check what is the message about. Okay, so those actually is the time that we take to respond to things around us is actually depending on the reaction time and also our movement time. So movement time, it's dependent on age and also fitness and so on. So movement time, like if you are like you go to gym, for example, if you go to gym, so of course if like me, I don't go to gym, so our movement will be different. Maybe the one who go to gym like more fast, like me, I don't go to gym, like I move like slowly. Okay, so it always depends to the how the person lives. Okay, so that's why in your persona you need to explain the under activity for your persona, so that you know how the person lives, and you know how do you make suite of your design to solve the problem that is faced by your persona. Okay, to solve the frustration of your persona. So the reaction time, it depends on our stimulus type. So visual usually 200 millisecond, auditory usually 150 millisecond. So our response time limit, okay, so this one we refer to system. Now we talk about system, okay? The response time limit for a system. So if there is the feedback, like you get a feedback in 0.1 second, you as a user, you feel the system is reacting immediately, like very fast one. Yeah, so of course it depends to your computer performance lah, like your gaming, like you move your character, like kalau lagi, of course like you're very frustrated, right? So you want to have like fast response so that you can you can play game with full satisfaction. And then let's say if you have 1 second, okay, 1 second delay of response time, so you can like see nampaknya ni system, like you can notice that the system is delaying. At this point of time, user maybe still feels being in control, right? So like masih okay lah, like 1 second jangan dia lambat. So let's say if it's 10 seconds, like you click on okay, you click on okay, but like it's just hang, it's freeze, like, so that this will make the user attention will like demolish. It can limit the user attention to use the system. So user will feel slow computer response. So similar like when, like for me, like when I use internet, if the connection is okay, right? So when I do Google search, like what I want to find, like very slow, like the what I click on is giving me like a very slow response, especially when you already used to 0.1 second response. You will feel very frustrated. Okay, I think not only me, but you also. If you already like biasa already get a short response time, you will really notice a difference if it's only 5 seconds late, right? So this response time limit really gives impact to the user. Okay, so make sure your design gives short response time if you apply this to your system. Okay, so for movement, you need to understand about this one law here. So for this course, you just need to understand about this you don't have to like remember this equation. You just need to understand that in this Fick's law, T stands for time, the movement time, and then we have the coefficient, okay, coefficient, and then we have the D, which is distance. So distance here refers to your distance from your cursor to the object. Okay, so the object here is the button. Okay, button here. Hold on now, give me a second. I need to answer my daughter. She's asking about, sorry, yeah, she's asking about homework. Hold on now.
Okay.
Okay, so the distance here, it refers to the object distance, which from your cursor here to your button. So the blue color here is, we assume this is a button, okay? And then W here, in this Fick's law, W here is, it's referring to the width of the button, okay, width of the button. So now we can already assume that from this equation, the longer the distance, okay, the longer the distance, the time, the movement time will increase. Okay, the time needed for movement will increase. Okay, because like if it's the distance is like much more further, or more far than this, so the cursor going to click the button, it will take time. So of course the time will increase, right? Aluna, give me a sec. So when there is a shorter distance, so let's take like the number distance here, it's much shorter. If it's shorter, so if it's like this button is nearby the cursor, means the distance is shorter. That means the time will be shorter. So short time to reach the button, right? So it's like, it's logic. So for if the distance is short, of course the time you need to move your cursor to click on the button is much shorter. So it will reach, it can give satisfaction to the user. So if it's the width is bigger, yeah, if the width is bigger, the width of the button is bigger. Of course, if it's bigger, it will be nearer to the cursor, right? So the time that you need to move your cursor to click on the button will be short. Okay, so for Fitts law, you just need to understand that if the distance is shorter, this distance is the distance is shorter, then it's much nearer, small number. The time will be shorter. Paham kah? Shorter distance will have short time to reach. Yeah. If the distance is short, you will need a short time to reach the button. Okay. So if the width is big, the width number is big. Sorry, you will need short time to reach the button. Okay. This is for Fitts law. Kita paham minum air dulu. So don't worry, the exam will not ask you to calculate this. Maybe you just need to understand that if the distance is shorter and the width is bigger, the time you need to get to the object, to get to this target, which is the button here, will be shorter. Okay? Sorry. Okay, so this is how Fitts law was invented. So it was the Fitts law was invented with this tapping experiments. So subjects will move a stylus back and forth between these two plates as quickly as possible and tap the plate at the center. Okay, so this is just to show you how the Fitts law was invented. Okay, so if you want more detail on this, you can refer to this website at the bottom here. Okay, now still for movement. So we have two types of menu here. We have wheel menu and we have list menu here. So if you are a user, you previously this one, I think Microsoft did this for their Microsoft Word, if I'm not mistaken, Word or their Microsoft Office lah. Okay, so they use this wheel menu for user to use their product, their software. So you have wheel menu or list menu. So it depends to the user, it depends to you as well on how you want to fulfill the requirement of your persona. So for you, which one you prefer, wheel menu or list menu? So for list menu, you will directly see right from here. And for wheel menu, like you need to like go around and see which one you need to click. Okay, so for me, I prefer list menu. So this wheel menu was invented previously, but it was removed because of many complaints from users. Okay, so we also have down here slide bar. Okay, so this one is the previous OS X Mac OS slide bar. You have the placement. Okay, the placement the placement of the sidebar is from here. So for Windows, it's from it shows you it's at, usually they put it at the end and the other end. Okay, so if you want to slide right, you need to move your cursor to the other end to move your sidebar. But of course, you can click and drag this one and move it around. So maybe for me, I would prefer something like this, like what macOS provides, because it's more convenient and it is the movement you need to do for you to reach the button that you want to click is much shorter, right? Because it is side by side. Okay, so if you have seen Mac OS, if you are using Mac OS interface and Mac OS computers, so the interface is really different than what we have in Windows. Okay, but nowadays Windows is like become more simpler, like it becoming like more usable than previously. So it's more simple to use nowadays. Okay, so these are just example of how movement of your cursor can affect the use of your system. And then another example. So we have this infinite target with at edge. So usually corners are the easiest place to reach because they have infinite dimension, like illusion, infinite illusion, infinite dimension. So usually that's why your start menu is at the bottom. You can set it at the bottom or at the right side. You can set it at the right side or the left side. You can also set it at the top. Okay, so depends on your on how you want to use your device. Okay, but we always use the edges or the corner to put our menu. Okay, this menu. So usually the place that you can reach directly to get to your menu. So if it's in center, right? So like it's the target is like it's everywhere, right? So if it's at the corner, you can directly see what you have at your menu. That's why our start menu is at the corner of our window. Okay, another example, edge corner can be considered to have an infinite width. So this is a view of, this one is Windows, I think it's on Windows 7. And then we have, this one is Apple, Mac OS, okay? So you have the menu, it's at the top. And this one is for Windows, okay? So we don't want to have a menu in front at the center. But this one, of course, this one is for devices like laptop, desktop. But for your mobile phone, it will be different, right? So if you want to design for your system later on, if it supports mobile or if it's used in mobile, so you need to take into consideration the size, the width of your interface, the width of your handphone of your phone to cater for the design of your interface. Okay. Do you trust what you are hearing? So this is it's additional on hearing for Auditory Channel. So there's this Mcgurk Effect. So this is a video. So you can watch this. There are, if I'm not mistaken, we have 4 videos in this lecture. So please download the lecture. It's in PowerPoint slide. So you can you open the slide presentation and you still have 30 minutes. So I want you to watch all the videos that was included in this lecture. Okay, so can you do that? Please watch all the videos. Okay. So I let you go and watch the videos now.
way to test the range of your peripheral vision. Keep your eyes on me and put your hands out right in front of you like this. Now slowly start to bring them back, like I'm doing. At some point, you'll notice you can no longer see your hands out of the corner of your eyes. Now, pull them back slightly toward you until you can see your hands again. And that's the range of your peripheral vision. And while your entire eye is designed to track motion, your peripheral vision is much more sensitive to motion than the rest of your eye, though it's not exactly accurate at letting you know how things are moving. Don't believe me? Why don't you test your peripheral vision?
You just press, you can play. Try, can just hover your cursor to the video and you can play. Try. Can ka? The rest, Noel can play the video.
Okay.
Okay, Kak Kelvin.
To test the range of the rest of your eye. The left, there, for a loop.
I don't know.
Cannot, or else you can put it on presentation and you play from your presentation.
I cannot. I cannot see any. The presentation, don't, I click the thing, don't have anything on.
God, hold on, let me check.
Don't believe me? Why don't you test your peripheral vision in this next game, which is sure to throw you and your brain for a loop. Look at the yellow star on the right side of your screen and keep your eyes there. Now can you tell me which way the dots around the yellow star are moving? Looks like they're moving to the left or counterclockwise, correct? Easy enough. Now, keeping your eyes focused on that yellow star, using just your peripheral vision, can you tell which direction the dots circling the red star are turning?
Cursor to the video. Hold on. Okay. Where is it already?
Does it look like they're moving the other way, clockwise, and to the right?
You hover your mouse to the video and you should see this play button here. Just click on it. Download send. Oh, you did not download the slide? You need to download. Okay, sudah, Kelvin.
Need to download.
Yeah, you need to download. Sorry, I did not mention just now.
Okay.
You need to download it in order
now
for you to be able to click it.
I want you to look directly at the red star.
Okay.
Did the dots around it suddenly change direction? And have the dots circling the yellow star switched up too? I promise, we're not altering the image at all. To prove it, take a look back and forth at the two stars in your own time. The dots keep changing direction, don't they? Confused? Don't worry. You're not seeing things. Well, you are, sort of. It turns out the dots circling both stars are rotating to the left, but they also have fast-moving gradients within them. That's the shading you see going in the opposite direction. And if we remove that shading, your eyes clearly see both sets of dots rotating to the left. But when we add it back in, and you see the dots out of the corner of your eye, the motion of the shading overrides the actual rotation of the dots. That's because your peripheral vision is not as strong as your central vision and can only detect one type of motion at a time. So it selects the faster moving gradients as the primary indicator of motion, causing the different parts of your eyes to send different signals to your brain. Way to different signal.
Is you see the surface here and the surface there, all right? Do they look the same in terms of their color? That's what you see, right? That they look different. What if I were to tell you that they're actually physically the same? Would you put money on it? Would you bet your life on the fact that they are different? Do they look the same now? They look the same. Are they the same, physically the same?
To our amazement and delight, illusions are so powerful that even when we know how they work, we can still be fooled. At any one moment, we are being bombarded by sensory information. Our brains do a remarkable job of making sense of it all. It seems easy enough to separate the sounds we hear from the sights we see. But there is one illusion that reveals this isn't always the case.
Ba, ba, ba.
Have a look at this. What do you hear?
Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba.
But look what happens when we change the picture.
Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba. Ba.
And yet, the sound hasn't changed. In every clip, you are only ever hearing bar with a B.
Ba, ba.
The sound hasn't changed.
Ba, ba. Ba.
And yet,
Ba.
but look what happens when we change the picture.
Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba. Ba.
And yet, the sound hasn't changed. In every clip, you are only ever hearing bar with a B.
Ba, ba. Ba.
It's an illusion known as the Mcgurk Effect.
Ba.
Take another look.
Ba.
Concentrate first on the right of the screen.
Ba.
Now to the left of the screen.
Ba.
The illusion occurs because what you are seeing clashes with what you are hearing.
In the illusion, what we see overrides what we hear. So the mouth movements we see as we look at a face can actually influence what we believe we're hearing. If we close our eyes, we actually hear the sound as it is. If we open our eyes, we actually see how the mouth movements can influence what we're hearing. Ba, ba, ba.
It's a bizarre effect. Remember, the only sound you're hearing is bar with a B.
Ba, ba.
Okay,
Ba,
students,
ba.
so if you're still watching, you can continue watching. You can left the Google Meet session. So I'll see you again later for the next lecture at 2:30. Okay? Thank
Okay.
you, everyone.
Okay, miss.
See you later.
Okay, miss. Thank you.
Okay.
Ba.
What's remarkable about this illusion is even knowing how it's done doesn't seem to make a difference.
Ba. The effect works no matter how much you know about the effect. I've been studying the Mcgurk effect for 25 years now, and I've been the face in the stimuli. I've seen stimuli thousands of times, but the effect still works on me. I can't help it. The speech brain just takes in that information and doesn't care about what outside knowledge you bring to bear. Ba, 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 ba.
The Mcgurk Effect shows us that what we hear may not always be the truth.
Ba.
But it also helps us to understand what happens when our senses conflict.
Ba, 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 When the brain has the conflicting information, it tries to make sense of that conflict. And depending on what type of modality is providing more, I guess, salient information, that information might override or at least combine with the other information.
So we can't always trust what we hear, because sometimes our sense of vision takes over, enabling us to maintain a coherent view of the world.